Good evening, folks, and welcome to the stream. It's Saturday night, and it's time for more development. Okay, so after today earlier successes with the drones, etc., offline, what I did was I started a change to the way we show minerals. Okay, so I'll let you see what we've got so far. And this needs, well, that's a bit lucky. Right, so now what we do is we actually place stuff on the ground. Okay. And these are going to basically disappear as we gradually make them, right? Or we mine them. But in the first instance, we're trying to make different types of the rocks, okay? Now, when I think about it, I should have saved these. Right, but let's go through just creating a rock, okay? Or at least in a second. I want to check something first. Right, let me just check if I've done something that I should have done. Imports. I don't think I have. Right, I did the Blender file. I mean, I suppose that makes it okay. Right? Now, what we're actually going to need to do here is we're going to have to do a new one, and it's actually going to be copper. Okay, and then these two are basically going to go into copper, right? And then we're going to have another one which is going to be iron. So my idea here is we're going to open Blender. Again, we're not going to do anything super fancy or anything, right? So we just want a basic rock. So we delete that, then delete our light. We have upgraded to Blender 3.3. Okay, because basically I didn't have this rock generator. Okay, so we needed a rock generator. So we need that set to there, and then and that just doesn't make it very different at all, does it? And I'm not really sure how this works, right? Because I can't. Well, that looks a bit better. So we'll go with that, right? So then what we've got to do is we've basically got to apply these and add another one. Shade smooth. Right, that's done. Okay, and now what we do is we go into edit mode and UV editing. Right, and then we basically do a smart unwrap. 0.02. Okay, that. Then we shall save as, and let's say this is rock C. And then we shall go to export, and this is going to be mineral rock C. So we've got them saved if we want to open them again, right? So we'll say save, and then we launch Substance Painter. Okay, so we're going to work on this. So we close that, then we do new, select, rock C, open, okay that. Then we have our new rock. We delete this layer, we go to texture settings, bake the maps, switch off ID, go. Okay, so that's going to do our texture map for us, and that's us done. So we go back to layers, and then what we do is we've got this rocky layer thing here. Right, now I wonder, pixel size, don't know what that does, but I don't know if we can actually do appears not. Right, there's nothing really we can change apart from this pixel size, right? Let's see what happens when we change it. Not a sudden lot. Okay, fine, doesn't matter, we'll just go with it. Okay, so the next thing we do is we add a layer here. What we can do is we can go to this layer, and has this got a, yeah, it's got a rotation on it, right? So it's not exactly, looks okay. Right, so we can go to layer 1, right, and then we can go to particles and then do veins. Don't know which is better, the big veins or the small veins. Right, I've been using the big veins anyway. So basically what we do now is we just put these everywhere. Right, but we undo that because we need to pick a colour or a material, right, and we've been not using that. It's actually this one, and we've been reusing brass. Right, and we basically start just clicking round about. And this is going to give us some random sort of veiny patterns. It's not fantastic, but it's going to give us some sort of an effect here, right? And this is obviously on the far side of the rock at the moment, because we're not seeing anything come up. Because of the resolution of my screen, it's very hard to see the pointer, which is a bit of a disappointment. And we could do it like that. Yeah, that's a bit quicker. I hadn't realised you could actually do it like that. Right, so that gives us a quicker way of doing it. There we go. So we can get something pretty quick here. I'm not saying it's great, but it gives you the idea of what we're doing. And there we go. Now, here's the interesting thing. If we turn the roughness right down, right, so that's that basically, right? So what we can do is export the textures now. So we go to configuration, go to here, we're going to mineral rocks and copper, and then we're going to create a new folder, and this is going to be texture C. Okay, and we'll do that and then export it. Okay. Okay, that. And now, to bring this in, we go to mineral rocks. Create a new folder called C. Open that up. And then we get our mineral rocks. We get our mineral rock C, drag that in. Right? And then we drag our textures in. So we go copper, texture C. Where did they go? I think I've just overwritten textures A. Not to worry, we can do it again if we need to. Right. So there we go. We can OK that. And then what we're going to actually do is we're going to try this with the iron as well. So we basically select those and then drag them in. Okay. That's that one done. And then what we do is we create a material. Matte mineral rocks C. Now we may need to do a bit of changing on that because we've not identified that as copper. Right, so we may need to do a bit of renaming on these, but that's okay. So we've set up that. The first thing we're going to do is make sure this is set to instanced. Save that. And then we are going to bring in that, our normal, and our occlusion, roughness and metallic. Okay, so we just plug these in. Roughness, metallic. We save that. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go into our BP mineral, we can click on our rocks, we can add a rock, and then we can drag this one in. Okay, and that's just got 3 different types of rocks for our copper, let's say. Just grabbing a little bit of sip of coffee there. Right, so now what we should actually be able to do is basically, I don't know if this is going to work, but we can try it. Yeah, it didn't work. Right, but what we can do is we can delete that. We can add a layer again. Okay, material mode, we can change it to like aluminium. And then basically do the same thing over here, right? Now I've lost my bearings. Now that's okay. We can do that. And then finally we can do the same thing there. Now the other thing you can do in Substance Painter, by the way, is you can actually do this. Right, so you can actually click in certain parts. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is, this is based on C, right? So what we can do is we can export the textures, then we can change this to mineral rocks, then iron, then we add new folder and we say textures C, right, and then we can double click on that, select that as the folder, make sure we're set to that, export and go. Right, and what I should really do for this is I should do the A and B while we're at it, right? So we can go new, select A, OK that, discard that, right? And then again we just do this, just do our baking the materials. And how are you guys tonight out there in internet land? Hope yous are all well. The first thing we're going to do here is we're going to do our materials, and we're going to drag that in. Okay, we'll rotate it a bit, then that's fine. So we do this and we go to particles, veins, then material mode, aluminium. We come over to our UVs and basically do the same thing again. Okay. Gradually just paint it. Give it some sort of idea of like veins in the rock, you know. I know how this isn't really how it works in real life, but we're not trying to do real life, we're just trying to do an estimation, shall we say. Right, so we can just export those textures and configuration, Unreal Engine, export. We're going to need to create this folder. So it's mineral rocks, iron, create folder, new folder, textures A, and open that, export. Okay, and the last one we'll do is we'll do B, and that gives us 3 rocks a piece for iron and copper. Right, so we do rock B, OK that, discard that, then we're going to bake, switch off ID and go. And from there, OK that, go to layers, delete that, go to materials and to here, that'll do us. Then add a fill layer, particles, veins, change material to aluminium, and do the same thing again. Okay. And then if there's a bit of, just do a bit of that there, that'll do us. Right. I'm not exactly taking too much time over this, but that's not the point. The point is just to get some sort of workable and obviously different models on the screen with the proper color of texture, right? So the point here is to get iron and copper so that we can actually differentiate between the two, right? Textures B. That's not right. And did that change that? I think I did. Just make sure. Yep. And go. Okay. So we now have 3 rocks. We're not saving that. We're just discarding it. Okay. Right. So let's grab a sip of our coffee. And we'll carry on. So we've got A, B and C. Right, now what I'm going to have to do here is, for the minerals, I'm going to create a struct. Right. Struct underscore mineral underscore ore. Okay. And the first one is going to be a name, and let's call it a name. Or let's call it ore type. And then we are going to have a mesh, static mesh. Right, and this is going to be mesh ease. Right, and this is going to be an array. Okay. So when we go into our BP minerals, right, we're going to have to know what type of mineral it is, right? Before we do anything, we're going to need to know this thing here, and it's an E item, right? So what we can now do is we can update this, and it's not, this is an E item, okay? And yeah, that's okay. Okay. So if we create a data table from this, so we got a miscellaneous data table and mineral ore, okay, that, and then we're going to say DT mineral ore meshes, okay, and we add this, then we're going to say copper, and we're going to say 1, 2, 3, right? And so we're going to have that one. Whew. Then we're going to have B, which is that one. Oh, wrong thing. Right, that's okay, because we're going to put the other one in a minute. And this one is going to be C. Yeah, it's that. Okay. So the next thing we've got to do is create our iron A, B, and C's, right? So in our mineral rocks, we're going to have a new folder. We call it copper. Then we're going to add another new folder and call it iron. Okay, and these three are the copper ones, so they're going to go in here. Let these move. Give them a bit of time. Take your time, it's Saturday night. No need to get excited. So in here, we're going to duplicate that, right? But right, we're going to do that in a minute because we need to do iron. And it's going to be new folder A, then new folder B, and new folder C. Okay, so we can go back to our copper, and what one? Yeah, it's this one we copied. Right, so we can drag this nowhere. Right, we'll need to open this up. Right, And what we're going to do is drag this into here. Then we're going to go into B. We're going to duplicate this. And we're going to drag it into here. Right, and then finally we're going to get C. We're going to duplicate that. Right, and we're going to drag it into here. Then in here we're going to create a material, mat mineral 4, and we're going to call it iron A. Right, and now what we're going to do is we're going to get our textures from our iron, and these are going to be dropped in here. Right, then this is going to get that dropped on it, and then this is going to get the right textures. Okay. So this is just kind of a slow and cumbersome job, really. It's not difficult, it's just a matter of time and patience, you know. Get the job done. So that's the first one, and we can take a look at this now. You can see that it's looking different from the other one. And now in B, right, we can get our textures again, go to iron, textures B, drop these in, right, and then what we'll do is we'll actually go to C, we'll go to our textures, iron, C, and we can drop these in. Okay, and then we'll go back to B and we'll create a material, and it was what, mat minerals or iron underscore B. And then what we'll do is we'll duplicate that and we'll say C, and then we'll move it into C. Okay, and now in here this is going to be B. We'll do these one at a time here. So we'll open that, and this is going to be C, right? But now what we need to do is, there's the thing. I need to make sure that these are set to instance meshes. Right, so I need to check A, and I need to check, I think, C of the copper to make sure that's set up right as well. Okay. And we can just finish this off with ambient occlusion, roughness, and metallic. Okay. And there we go. We can save that. So we've done C, but we need to check this material here to make sure it's instance meshes as well, which you'll notice that we didn't set, right? And I've got a sneaking suspicion that I didn't set it for this one either. So we're just going to check it to make sure. And it is, so that's okay. Right, so back to B is done. And now C, make sure this is set. Right, instance mesh. Okay. And then we drag these in, of course. Lost my place for a second, but we're getting there. Now, this once again is just going to start filling out the game a bit with kind of the look better, kind of, I'm not saying it's a finished look, but more of the concept of what I'm looking for. So if we ever get some funding and we can get a modeler and a texturing guy or whatever, that I can show them a better sort of representation of what I actually want, right? So now that we've done that, right, we can start closing a load of these down, these windows down, because they're all materials and textures and stuff like that. In fact, I'd probably be as well doing that. Yeah, that's done. Okay, hadn't updated on the screen there. So now we go back to our minerals, right, and we open up our mineral blueprint, right? And the rocks here are going to get set up depending on these. Right, so I'm going to write a function. I'm going to say load rocks from data table, right, and we're going to say get data table row names, right, and this is going to be from minerals. Okay, and then we're going to say for each now what we're going to have to do here in the short term is basically trash that, because this is just going to get set up when we do it. And here we are going to say data table row, we're not doing. Interesting. Interesting. We're actually not going to do this. Or actually we are. Right, so we're going to say minerals, not minerals. Right, so we're going to do that, right, and we're going to say out, and we're going to break that, then we're going to say equals, and then we're going to bring in type, and if that's, we're going to branch on that, and then if it's true, we're going to bring this in, and then we're going to add okay, and actually we're not. We're just going to say that interesting. I think what we just need to do is just say append. And we just basically append this array onto that array. That should actually do us. Right? And while we're doing this, is okay. Going to take a 2-minute break. If you're enjoying the stream, hit like and subscribe, and I shall be back in 2 minutes after I have a cigarette. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we're back. So let's have a look at what we're doing here. We've got our append. We probably want a breakpoint here just to test it, right? And we go back to our event graph and load rocks from the data table. Okay, and that should actually be us. No, it shouldn't. Talking rubbish. Because loading the rock, spawn rock should change a slight smidgen here. No, that's absolutely perfect. That'll work fine. Yep, that'll do it. And now we should be able to test it. Right, so basically we want a probe. Ah, damn it. And we are going to have to change this code pretty shortly, because doing this is just a nightmare. Ah, I don't want, I had it twice. Right, there we go. So let's see if we can get two different patches. Okay, apparently that didn't work. See, I'm not sure about this append. In fact, it didn't even go in there, did it? Right. So it didn't even go in here. Why did it not go in here? Add breakpoint. Ah, because I've not updated the data table. I don't think I've updated this data table. Yeah, I've not updated the... We've got the copper ore, right, but we've not got iron ore, so if it was iron ore it wouldn't have done anything. Right, and then we need to add the 3 iron ore ones. Right, so we need mineral rocks, iron, A. Right. And then we need iron, B. Then we need iron, C. Save that. Okay. So we try that again. There we go, there's the first one. And there we go. So that's true, whatever it is. So this is copper. Right, so that's perfect. That gives us our little copper thing. Now it's going to do this in a different order, right? Basically what's going to happen is the probe is going to come out here, it's going to do its thing, and then we basically fire this, okay? And then if we hover over this, we're going to be able to actually, if we build a miner, right? And the miner can only be placed on a mineral deposit. That's the idea, okay? Which makes a lot more sense than what we were doing before. Right? So that was a copper. Now hopefully this is an iron. Well, it's not. Right, but you can see now that we're getting our little deposit of copper, which is nice. Okay. Got to wait on that flying back. And we're going to have to do another one because we've not got an iron yet. Right. There we go. Copper again, would you believe? There's no reason why this shouldn't work though, so I'm not mega concerned about it at the moment. But it'd be nice just to check it. And yeah, we can't do that just now because our thing is there. And there goes our drone. Okay. There we go. That one's a bit closer. Come on, give us a bloomin' iron. I don't believe it. That's the fourth copper in a row. I don't know how differentiated these are actually going to be. Right, so I suppose we're going to try again. Now we don't want to build them direct on top of those robots. Darn it, I had one there. Yeah, next thing we're going to do as soon as I get an iron one is we're going to fix this so we don't need to bloom and do that all the time. Okay. Right, so we've got that. Why are you picking blooming copper ore all the time? This is not funny. Right. Right, this isn't funny. Hey Ali Pie, how you doing, mate? Right, we're just working on a new way of doing the probing and building miners, which makes a lot more sense, even though I'm just kind of working on it just now, and we're just doing a little bit of graphic stuff. Right, you've got to be iron. Ah, it's bauxite. I'm an idiot. This isn't iron ore. This is bauxite. Right. Bauxite. Darn it. You can tell it's a Saturday night and I should be drunk by now, because I'm not doing things properly here. Ah, missed it. There we go. Right, give me a blooming bauxite so I can see if it's kind of white. Right, thank you. It is kind of white, but the backing rock is kind of naff. It's far too... It's far too kind of copper to start with. Right, there is a difference, you can see it, but it's not stark enough. Right, see all the little veins? Right, just for you, Ali Pie, I'll show you what I mean, what I'm trying to do here. Right, dismiss that. We've got different mineral rocks. We've got copper, right? And we'll just show the A versions, right? So you've got an A version, right? And you can see all the veins, right? Going around. Okay. Right, whatever. Right. So that was like the A version. So, but we've also got it in the iron version, which should have like white version. And you can see it's got it, right? It's obviously white. All these veins are white, right? But when you bring it into the game, it's not strong enough, because it's still this coppery colour underneath, right? So there is a difference, but there's not enough of a difference to make it really visible. Okay? Now, I don't know what I did that for. Right. So, but the thing is here, at the moment, the way the game worked didn't really make... Well, it kind of made sense, right? But from a gameplay point of view, it didn't, right? And the fact of the matter was that if you fired your probes, it automatically built a miner, right? But we don't need this grid. All we need is basically... if your probe is ready to go, then it goes, right? And what it does is it finds a thing, a mineral deposit, right? Now, depending on the amount of research you've done and all that kind of stuff is if what type of miner you can build on it. And I don't know why I keep messing this up. Right, so you can only build it when there's one, and that's because you've only got one probe, right? So that's logically correct. So this is bauxite again. So this should look kind of white, right? So when you see this, you'll see what I mean by the issue, right? That it doesn't look white enough in the game, right? Whereas the other one looks like really white, or really orange, really copper coloured, right? But, so what we're going to do is we're going to fix this, right? So basically when you send a probe out, we're not going to do a grid. All we're going to do is basically get a position on the map under the cursor and find out if there's a probe available. And then if there's a probe available, it's going to do it, right? So we need to do that. And that is going to be in our UI to start with. So we're going to have to follow this through. In our main game menu and menu button. I don't know why it's always bringing up the sequence editor now. It's blooming annoying. Right, so this is the thing that does our grid. But basically we want to bypass this now, right? And we're probably going to have to add a new game mode, so that when you hit the left hand mouse button it'll do something different on that particular game mode, right? So all we're going to do in the first instance here is change game mode, right? So we're going to need to find out where the game modes are, right? The game modes themselves are here. So we have normal placement, power, and yeah, we do have a probe, right? So that's fine. Okay. So we can do like a new graphic for this or something to show that you're in probe mode, right? But the main thing is here that we actually set it to probe mode, right? So fundamentally, we're going to grab our controller, then we're going to say current game mode, and we're going to set it to probe. Okay. Now we're going to have to change this because this is no longer actually required. The difference now being that when you create or when you probe, your mineral thing will stay there, right? the mineral blueprint will actually not be removed, and we'll have to change our AI for our building the miner thing, which is going to be strange because that'll be completely different to the other way of doing it. So I might have to find a way of doing something about that. But anyway, so we're doing that, right, and that takes us into probe mode. And the next thing we're going to do is these all do like widgets and stuff. So I'm guessing that we're going to be doing the same thing here, right, except we're not going to be doing that. This is doing like a grid thing. So we might have to create a secondary version of this that doesn't really do anything apart from like plonk down a grid. Right? Interesting. Now, I'm just wondering here. Let's have a look at the BP grid. Right? Right, this is obviously going to do some wacky stuff. Now, hang on a second here. Right, that does that. Right, so I'm just wondering here what actually happens here when I do this. Let's have a look. Right, so if I press probe, it's not doing anything. Right, which is fine. And this is only when you click on it, right? X grid, Y grid. And this is BP probe. Right, so there's something here that I'm missing. Let's go back to our menu button. Probe grid. Right, so it's probe grid that we actually create. Let me get a drink of my coffee. So we want to have a look at this. And excuse me a minute, guys. I'm just going to go for a comfort break. I shall be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Okay guys, sorry about the interruption there. We're back and we're looking at probe grid, okay? So we're looking to see what this thing actually does. So when it moves, we do all this and then we create a grid, I believe, except I don't see it doing anything here either. So it must be in here that it does it, which it does. Right, so this is in C++, oh goody. Right now, but I think we can actually do something about, oh my god, you're going to see me do some C++. Right, so we're on this one. Has cursor moved? Build grid. Definition, please. Okay, don't go to the definition then. Okay, so where's build grid? I'm taking it this is it. Yep. Okay, so what we do here, we don't do any of this stuff. Okay. Oh, this is painful. Alright, so how do we do this? Right. So I would determine that all we need to do here is basically do this. One. Then that. Then do one. And then do that. Or, in fact, let's do that. Let's save that. Right, and then we're going to compile. Okay, I don't know how long this is going to take, guys. This might be a bit painful. This could be very painful indeed. Right. and it's been quite a while since I've done this. So we're creating a grid piece, and I'm pretty sure if, well, while we're at it, right, if we look at components here, here's grid piece here, right? So a grid piece is actually a grid, right? But what is that grid? I don't know. Well, it should be this. If we think about it, it should be this. BP grid. Right? So I'm going to say that actually might work. Right, but we'll need this to compile first. And compiling doesn't seem to be a strong point. And also, I don't think this is working properly either. This, well, what we might do here is we might start getting the proper thing that is basically getting it's getting a rounded vector, right? But what it should do is get a rounded vector and then set it to the center point, okay? Because I don't think it's doing that. I think it's setting it to like the bottom left or bottom right. That's a compile complete, right? So if I right, we're going to stop that. Right, we're going to go back to here. Right, and I tell you what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to drop this. And we're going to put that back in there. C++ is painful if you're not 100% confident with it, and I haven't used it for so long that, right, see, so this is just crap, right? Now you'll notice here it's giving me numbers of -1000 and they're all rounded, which is kind of what we want, but it's kind of not. Right? So what I'm thinking here is actually spawn actor from class, right? And we're going to actually spawn a BP grid, right? And I'm going to see, now this is the interesting part, right? And in this case, yeah, we're going to have to change this code around a lot, I think. So we're going to have to get the controller, and then probably what we're going to have to say here is we're going to say rounded. Right, this is going to end up being rubbish, okay, so don't worry about it. Rounded mouse location, right? And we're going to say, in this case, we're going to say 500. We're going to pass in the controller. And I don't know where these are coming from. I'm hoping that it's coming for here. We're going to break this vector and then plonk them in there. I don't know what probe means, but we'll click it anyway and we'll see what happens. And it doesn't like that at all. Transform. Okay, we'll go with that then. Right, which means that I think this grid X and Y, that should be like 1 and 1. Right, I'm probably butchering this because it's so long since I did this, I'm forgetting how things work. Now, here's an interesting thing how it did that, right? It's done that there, and there we go. But that's cool, right? So if we wanted to create another probe up here, right, we just do that, and then it's going to draw it where it is, right? Now our thing is away at the moment, so we've kind of got it working, right? But the text, I'm taking it the text is actually X and Y, except it's not, right? But it's not moving, right? So this isn't the part that moved it. Right, so we're kind of okay, right? We're kind of okay. But the thing is that in here, we don't spawn this straight away, right? We actually do this part. And then when we click again, it should do this, right? Now, the thing is that we're actually we'd need to do a whole new part to this, because basically we need it to move with the cursor, right? And I'm pretty sure BP Grid does not move with the cursor. Right? It only, yeah. Right, so what we need to look at is this, right? And then basically we do this. And then, but the problem is that this actually moves this moves the grid, rather than the fact that this should actually just pass back a true or false, right? But what we're fundamentally doing here is this part here, right? So we'll copy this just now, right? And this is going to have to go on the event tick, right? Because we need it to be updating all the time, right? And this is where we need to break it, because we're not going to do this. Right? But what we're going to do is we're going to say, right, this is just a quick fix, right? This is just a quick fix, guys. Don't worry about it. I'm going to sort this all out, because there are a couple of things that I really need to sort out here, right? So we're going to set we're going to set the world location right. Where's the right, I suppose we can just do that one. Right, and what we're going to do is we're just going to plug that straight into there. Right, and we're going to plug that into there. And now, in theory, it should move about if we don't make an arse of it. We don't actually need this either. Right? But can I? Yeah, I can. Right, so we'll do that. And then we'll say, we'll set up a default. Right, and we'll say 500 for a laugh and see what that does. Because 500 should actually be the amount, the size of a mineral deposit. 500 is that amount, right? That's why I picked 500, by the way. It wasn't just a number I picked out my backside. Right, so if I click on this, right, so that suggests that this isn't working, which we kind of thought anyway. Right, so what I'm going to do is, you see, this doesn't work, so we need to do something about that. So in the meantime, we're going to split this, and we're going to plug these in. Right, what's going on? Actor rotation. Why is it doing that? Why is that not just 0? I mean, call me bonkers, but we should be able to say get control pawn. Right, so that should do it. Right. And nothing. Okay. Is that because world offset? World offset? Are you off your nut? Actor location. Set actor location. Right, thank you for getting it right eventually. Me. Right. Me's having a bit of a mare tonight. Right, I'll go there, zoom that, and go. Right, you're just being a bitch now. Aren't you? Unless we're back to our button and I'm not creating anything because I'm an idiot, right? Right, and this is trash. Right, so we're just going to say you're trash. And we're going to say get I'm pretty sure it's get is it get position under cursor channel? I think so. Right, I'll tell you what we'll say. We'll say under cursor. Right. And then we'll say break result. And that is going to go there. Right, so it is doing it there, right, but it's not updating. Okay. And that grid isn't right. Okay, 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 I get you, I get you. Right, default scene route movable. Right, okay. Cam your jets. So we can go back to here, right? And what we actually want to do here is we want to delete this stuff because that's obsolete anyway, right? And what we'll do is we'll move all of this stuff over to here, right? I don't know if I need to set this or not, but we'll soon find out. We'll move this across a bit. We're going to do that so that we can actually see what the hell's going on. right? Now, whatever happens, this is going to die. So I'm going to move it away out there, out the way. Right? And what we're going to do is we're going to break this. And then we're going to split that. And then we're going to split that. Then we're going to split that. And we're going to split that. And then we're going to do that. And that. And then we're going to set this to 3. Right, just above the ground so that it isn't interfering with the ground. Okay. And we're going to save that. And hopefully all our troubles will be far away. I somehow don't believe that, but I'm going to keep hoping. I'm going to put that there, that's never going to be joined back on, but that's basically, if we remove that and put that back in, that basically turns it back into the way it was. Right? So, there we go. Right? Resume, resume, resume. Everything's still working good. Right, now these are actually working properly. It's just the fact that this isn't being this kind of isn't being done properly, right? Or, let me rephrase that. It kind of is, but it isn't. So, and I can fix that, right, quite easily in here. Now, this isn't the best way to do it. We're going to do it differently, right? But we're getting the location here, right? Right, this is okay. But when we hit the button, we don't want it to actually spawn the thing, right? What we want it to do is spawn it here plus 250, 250. In fact, we don't even want it to do that, right? What we want to do is get the return rounded location and this is just the event tick, right? Okay, so that's all fine. But when they click on it, right, which is this part here, the mining probe should not be here, right? It should be where it should be where the grid is, basically, right? It should be this here, right? That's what I'm going with. Or it should be this plus 250, 250. Right, so if I draw it here, the thing should be in the center here, right? There you go. And now our thing should be in the right place. There we go. And now we see that this is actually, you know, doing its, what do you call it, in the right place, right? Right, so we can see that again. Okay. If we do this again, we can do it right there. And we can resume, and there we get our rocks again in the right place. And now when our thing comes across, you'll notice it's right above it now, so it scans it properly. See that? Right, now we just need to change the order in what we're doing this. Okay. And we need to stop it from actually going and doing the building thing, right? And on that note, I think we'll call it a night. It's getting late. We might actually be on in an hour or two again if I feel like it and I'm not too tired. But for just now, we're going to leave it there. If you've enjoyed the stream, hit the subscribe and like, and check out the description for more ways to support the channel, and you can join the Discord as well. So thanks for watching, and bye bye for now. And tomorrow we shall be back at 2 PM Central as per usual.